everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. You can check them out. We'll tell you more about them later on. And later on, by the way, is when the roundtable shows up, and typically we'll get into a lot of controversy with that gang. But between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way. Everything from learning about skills training to protecting our kids during the summer to much more. But where we want to start is with two very special guests, good friends of mine, and I want to introduce them to you right now. Atticus Simpson is seated behind us, and he's Director of Community and Government Affairs at Triad Federal Credit Union. But Atticus brought a very special guest who has been on the show many years before. We're so glad to get her back. Anastasia Powell is Manager of Corporate Culture and Internal Communications for IFB Solutions. Welcome to both of you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Atticus, let me start with you. You sent me an email one day and said that you thought I'd be interested in something called Disability Independence Day. What is that, and why is TrueLiant focused on it?
Sure. Thank you very much. It's good to be here, and thanks for the question. Disability Independence Day is this year on July 26th, and that is a day that commemorates the American Disabilities Act that was signed into law back in 1990. And so we feel like that's a really great day to celebrate, not only because of what that day represents, but also who it represents and who it celebrates. And it's not necessarily about the disability, but about the ability and what people can do to give back to the community or just to be productive citizens. And so we're proud to be a part of that.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. Anastasia, remind folks, if they don't know, maybe they've just moved into the area, they see IFB, the three letters, IFB Solutions. Mm-hmm. Of course, used to just refer to it as Industries for the Blind, IFB
Yes.
Solutions. Remind everybody what y'all are all about.
Well, IFB Solutions, we're the largest employer of people who are blind in the U.S., and our mission is to provide opportunities of employment training and services because we want people who are blind to succeed in every area of life. We have 3 manufacturing locations: Little Rock, Arkansas, Asheville, North Carolina, and headquarters, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We also have call centers, work from home options, base supply stores, adult programs, and we also have a children's program called Student Enrichment Experience, which teaches children who are blind and visually impaired independent living skills. So because 70% of working age people who are blind are unemployed, we just want to make sure we try to cover all those spaces and provide as many opportunities as we can to lower that number.
Absolutely. Now, why don't you tell folks a little bit about your personal story as it relates to how you came to IFB?
Well, I started losing my vision at the age of 13. I was blind by 21. The doctors do not know what caused my blindness. Before I started my journey with IFB Solutions, I was a single mom trying to figure out life of blindness, and my kids were growing, so I needed a job.
Right.
And I started looking for a job, and when an employer saw blind on the application or a cane in my hand, most of the time opportunity was taken off the table. So I'm very appreciative of the opportunities that IFB Solutions provides for people like me to succeed. And I started out as a sewing machine operator, moved up to internal communications manager. I'm married, 5 daughters, 6 grandchildren, and 16 years later, they're still making a difference.
You don't look old enough to have that many grandchildren,
No.
but I'm not going to dispute you. I'm not going to call you a liar.
Oh, it's the truth. I have gray hair to prove it.
Yeah. Now, Anastasia, seriously, in the old days, not so olden days, and when people would sort of take those jobs off the table, it wasn't because they were mean necessarily. Maybe they just didn't understand, and maybe they didn't feel like they were outfitted right, or they could accommodate, or whatever. Why is it? Why should companies hire someone with a disability? And there's a broad range of disabilities people have. Why should employers do that?
Well, people with disabilities, we're like everyone else. We have bills to pay, families to raise, and we want to live a full life, and opportunity is the key. In fact, Atticus just mentioned it, 31 years ago this month, the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed, and basically it's just saying, let's make the world a little more accessible for people with disabilities. And technology has truly been a game changer in leveling the playing field for people with disabilities to succeed in today's workforce. We have screen readers for our computers, Braille, apps that read documents.
Right.
And we bring all of this technology, this drive, and this energy to the workplace to get the job done. So giving a person a chance is just a matter of providing that opportunity.
We have about 10 seconds. Wrap us up. Atticus, why is this so important?
I can't say it any better than what she said. I think if we celebrate our differences, we all shine a little bit brighter together, and that's something that we believe in at TrueLiant. And we're proud to have our partnership with IFB Solutions because they're there to enhance the quality of the life they serve, similar to what we do, and we're glad to do that.
Absolutely. True Line, a great partner, and I can attest to that too, same as Anastasia can, because they've been a partner with us in supporting what we do with our mission here at Triad Today for almost 18 years from the very beginning. Up on screen, ifbsolutions.org. Please check that out. That's a great website to go to for more information about what Anastasia was talking about. And a good thanks also to Atticus and Todd and everybody at True Lion. Their website's truelionfcu.org. Check that out as well. Two great community servants, and I'm glad I was able to talk with you all. Thanks for doing it.
Yes,
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today, and summertime is a good time, actually any time, but especially summertime, to talk about keeping our kids safe. And we have an expert in that field who's going to help us right now with me. Coming down from Mount Airy, Dr. Nicholas Tallman. He's a pediatrician with Northern Pediatrics under the umbrella of Northern Regional Hospital. We welcome you to the program.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Thanks for coming to the garden.
Yeah, it's beautiful here.
Spending some time with us. What are the risks to young children from exposure to sun and heat? I don't think I've ever asked anybody that.
Right, yeah. So some of the things we think about for anyone being out in the sun and too much, dehydration is always a concern. Also, sunburns are very common, especially during the summertime. And then there's also heat-related illnesses that you can get that kind of stem from the dehydration and deconditioning that some kids will get during the
And
summer.
sunburn, people laugh about it sometimes, but that can be a very serious thing.
Yeah, exactly. It can be very serious, especially if the kid is under the age of 1. It can be more serious. And so if they do have sunburns under 1, we always say seek medical help or attention at that
Right.
time.
What are some of the warning signs to look out for with heat exhaustion? Because if you got young kids that are running around the beach or running around the
Right.
pool or playing sports, and they don't want to stop, they want to keep going and going and going. So what are you looking for as a parent?
Right. Yeah, so stuff to look out for a parent, that they're a little bit more sluggish than they were before, that they're complaining of thirst. The kids don't usually complain of thirst until they're quite thirsty. Sometimes that might be a sign of dehydration at that point. Sometimes confusion, we always worry about if there's confusion or they're just more lethargic than normal. If you do see those or they start having a fever, that's when we kind of move from more of that heat, just heat stress, more to heat exhaustion.
And just keep them hydrated.
Keeping hydrated is one of the biggest things.
What about, especially in the evening hours and you're having cookouts and kids are playing around? I was talking to somebody the other day about insect repellent. Is that, I don't know the answer to this, is it safe to use insect repellent on young kids?
Yeah, so insect repellent is recommended, and it's the recommendation is any kid over the age of 2 months it's safe to use insect repellent. Looking for the insect repellent that has DEET, up to 30% DEET is safe for kids.
I want to double back to the sun part of this thing. Sunscreen. You go into the store and you see all these ratings,
Right.
and you try to figure out which one's going to be best or any of them any good. What's your, without doing a commercial for sunscreen, what's your recommendation on what kind of sunscreen is really effective for children?
Right. So the sunscreen that works, that's the best, most recommended would be the one that offers dual protection from UVA and UVB sun rays. And we look for at least 30 SPF of 30. Some will say 15, but the dermatology folks kind of push for at least a 30 SPF.
And now, because I'm old, my mind wanders sometimes, but I want to go back to another thing too about the hydration thing.
Yeah.
If you're trying to keep your kids hydrated, especially if they're doing sports or playing baseball or running
Right.
around, are you saying it should be water? Should it be Gatorade or soft drinks okay, or tea? I mean, is there certain things that are good and not good for hydrating?
Right. Yeah. So generally, overall, the best would be water, pushing water for kids. If they're out for more than an hour or so, especially the student athletes that have, after an hour or so, replenishing with some sports drinks that have the electrolytes, the sugars, the salts in there. A good rule of thumb for hydration basis is an 8-ounce cup of water for each year of life up until they're about 8 years old. So
Right. I'd have to drink like 69 bottles of water.
and it's usually capped around about 2 liters, or about 8-ounce cups of water.
We only have a few seconds left. I'm just curious. I'm surprised with this question. But what led you to want to go into medicine? I mean, was there a parent or a teacher or somebody that was sort of a role model or what?
Right, yeah, it would be my father. He was a physician too. And then I had great doctors growing up, and I just loved love medicine from an
Well,
early age.
we're glad we're glad you chose that field because you're doing a great job. Up on screen, choosenorthern.org is the website, the general website for Northern Regional Hospital. You can click on and find out things about pediatrics. choosenorthern.org. Doc, thanks for all you do.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
You want to come back and see us sometime?
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back after this. On Triad Today, and always glad when some of our good friends from Duke Energy can stop by and help us understand some things that can help us save money and time and energy. And with me, our good friend on my immediate right, Davis Montgomery, of course, District Manager for Local Government Community Relations for Duke Energy. Davis brought along a special guest, first-time visitor to the show, Gray Thompson, Business Development Manager, CHP and Energy Storage for Duke Energy. Welcome to the show. Good to see you, Davis. Davis, I'm going to start with you. We hear a lot about renewable energy and how that's going to be a bigger part of meeting our future energy needs. So I guess my lead-off question to you would be something like, how is this going to be different from what Duke Energy's been doing and using in the past?
If you look at our traditional sources of energy, nuclear, natural gas, hydro, even coal, though coal's diminishing, they put out a very reliable source and supply of energy. When it comes to renewables, it can sometimes be a little unpredictable. And if you're an end user, such as an industrial customer that has highly sensitive machinery, you've got to find a way to smooth that out so they're not seeing a lot of spikes and dips in their voltage.
Right. And when you talk about renewable, are we talking about having an industry convert to battery and things like that, or what?
As Gray's group finds solutions to those sort of things, that's the type of thing that you're going to have to put in place to kind of even out that energy supply and have it available.
Yeah, so tell me about, because we talked about your title and what you're involved in, what do you mean energy storage?
Well, Jim, when Duke Energy refers to energy storage, what they're really referring to is the ability to have an asset that can hold energy at a time when there's excess and release it to customers when the grid needs it later. And this capability is viewed as central to Duke Energy meeting its stated goal of producing net zero carbon emissions by the year 2050.
Yeah, and not have any downtime like Davis was alluding to. You know, it's no good if you've got a source, but then it's not continuous. So that's a great thing that you're coming up with solutions. Now, Gray, how does energy storage relate to the expansion of renewable generation in the state overall?
Yes, sir. Well, to Duke Energy, we see the key word as being dispatchable. For us, dispatchable means that an energy source will be there at the time that you need it. And this is viewed as critical for us to integrating assets such as solar and wind, which we cannot control when the sun goes behind the clouds, nor when the wind will blow.
Right. Now, let me ask a stupid question, and Davis knows me long enough to know that's all I ask, a stupid question. But now, why aren't there just batteries everywhere available? Why isn't you and Davis knocking on my door every day, hey, you want some batteries? I mean, but seriously, I'm not kidding around. Why aren't there more batteries everywhere?
Well, it is a new technology to be integrated into our system, and with that, there is a few key things that we have to overcome first. Like all nascent technologies that are integrated into a new industry, there is a set of safety standards that the manufacturers and installers are working through to commonly accept. And in the case of Duke Energy, we're deploying energy storage systems where large amounts of energy will be placed sometimes in our neighborhoods. We want to be sure that they can be operated safely, both in those communities and by the teammates upon whom we depend.
So it's a transition period, and I understand that. But what about any storage projects that you guys have going on already? Anything you can tell me about those?
My company has a pretty long history of operating utility scale storage, mostly in South Carolina using pumped hydro, where we would pump large volumes of water to a higher elevation behind a dam when excess energy was available and returning it back through a turbine generator when it was needed for customers. In North Carolina today, in the community of Shiloh near Asheville, is a 9-megawatt asset that's been online since 2020, and it's providing the ability for us to operate more efficiently, effectively our grid serving the Asheville region.
Yeah, Davis, to sort of wrap up, what challenges are you looking at trying to make all this stuff happen?
I think, as Gray alluded to already, you want to find a consistent platform so that you're not having a bunch of different battery storage or energy storage type of configurations out there. So getting the industry to come around a set of standards that everybody can utilize and apply, I think, is the first step. Then after that, it's finding the right place and the right time.
Absolutely. And if I may add to that, there's an aspect of cost recovery. This is something where we need to be able to accurately value the benefits that energy storage is going to bring to our community. And we're engaging with stakeholders like the regulatory bodies to make sure that methodology is in place.
That's great, guys, and I appreciate what you're doing on that. A couple things I want to put up on the screen. www.duke-energy.com is the main website, but You can also, as Jimmy Flythe likes to say, you can check out generatingprogress.com because that's sort of a consumer-friendly website that you can get some information on as well. Davis and Gray, thanks for doing this, guys.
Thank you,
It's been a
Jim.
pleasure. Thank you, Jim.
We'll be right back after this. On Triad Today, and so glad we can bring in a couple good friends to the show who we've met before, and they're doing great work in the community to help so many people. On my immediate right, Tempe Albright is Business Development and Skills Training Manager for Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina, and James Mitchell is here as Skilled Trades Coordinator for Community and Workforce Development at Forsyth Tech. And good to see both of you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Tempe, let me start with you. Tell me about the partnership between Goodwill and Forsyth Tech.
Yeah, it's a strong partnership. In fact, we are a model for other community colleges in Goodwill. It's treating each other like family and figuring out, but the bottom line is how can we best serve the student.
Right.
So we partner together. Sometimes we, like last year, we had the Lowe's grant. We were able to give away toolboxes as the students graduated from the trade
Wow.
skills.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and we take advantage of the grants that they get, so it's
Yeah.
family.
And again, as Tempe's saying, James, the overriding issue here is helping people. So let's get to that. What kind of trade skills training do you offer at these programs?
We offer a number of different trade skills, electrical line worker, HVAC technician, heating and air conditioning technician, electricians, facility maintenance, basic construction skills. We basically take somebody in welding, I forgot that, but we basically take somebody who may not know anything about a trade skill and give them enough information and enough skills training so that they can go out and get an entry-level job.
And in some cases, people wanting to change jobs,
Sure, absolutely,
you
yeah.
know, maybe a career change or something, wanting to get into something maybe they've always wanted to do, and then
Right.
they can get those skills training. Now, let me ask the obvious question. I think I know the answer to this, but because of your track record and Tempe's track record, but you listed all these great things that you're training people for. Is there a demand for those skills in this market?
There is a demand for more students or more graduates than we can produce. We just had, for example, a graduation of electrical line worker students. We had 17 students graduate. Of those, 11 students left that day with a job.
Wow.
So, and all you have to do is pay attention, listen to the radio, watch billboards, watch TV, and you can see people are screaming for skilled trades workers.
Need good skills on there. What about not to focus on the pandemic too much, but looking back over how it impacted everybody in one way or another. How was the job market around here impacted by COVID-19 and the pandemic, do you think?
Skilled trades workers were considered essential workers, and so the demand for those workers didn't slow down a bit.
Yeah, when you're sitting at home, you want to make sure the heating and air is working like it needs to.
Got to have that service.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to have that. So that's right. There was really no interruption in those things. So again, that goes with what you were saying about a constant demand
Right.
for those skills. Tempe, who's eligible to enroll in these programs that you've partnered with James on?
It's open to the public.
No age stopping?
Well, 18 and above.
18 and above.
Yeah, because we need them to be working age, and even that we might can work with, but typically 18 and above.
Now, do you and James either separately or together, is there a fee involved? And if there is there financial assistance available? Help me on this.
This is where we work really good as a partner. Goodwill has the Goodwill scholarships, but right now, Forsyth Tech has the gear.
Right.
That it's one of those that really helps the student out beyond just paying for the class, and I would be giving the student a disadvantage if I didn't take advantage of
Right.
that, and you might can
Yeah,
get more
right.
information.
Yeah,
on
the GEAR scholarship is the governor's emergency education relief fund.
Right.
And so that allots $750 per eligible student,
Wow.
which goes to pay for their education and education-related expenses.
That's fantastic. I want to put something before time gets away from us up on screen, forsythtech.edu. And because President Spriggs would just shoot me if I didn't put that up there. Great lady. Forsythtech.edu is that website. And then if you want to go to this website, careers@goodwill.org, or you can call 336-724-3621, careers@goodwill.org. Thanks for all that you do, both of you. It's a great service that you're providing and benefiting so many people. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back. Now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to our good friends here at the Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. SeniorBotanical.org is, you can visit that, but more important, just visit the garden. And you can talk to them about having your wedding or reception, luncheon meetings and things here. It's a great place. This is a great place too, and you have three great people. And next to me on my right, but always political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist, and socially distanced behind us, two great folks. Taylor Woods, CEO of Ashday Products, and Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys and gals, let's get to it. As Virginia, the state of Virginia, celebrates its first week of legal recreational marijuana, North Carolina lawmakers are getting closer, perhaps, to legalizing pot for medical purposes. Will this be the year that our state finally enacts a comprehensive policy on medical marijuana? Ogie.
Yes, it will. I've been following this one pretty closely. The Republicans finally figured it out that there's a lot of money to be made, including some of the Republicans are going to make money in themselves. This is going to pass.
Taylor.
Hey, I mean, I think it would be great if it would pass. There's a lot of people who need it, a lot of people who depend on it, so let's make it happen.
Who need it medically, and then I guess that's the next step right into legalizing it for recreational. Keith, what do you think? Is it going to happen?
Yeah, a lot of farmers out here with this land that has been farming tobacco, they're going to move more toward hemp, and so it's definitely going to happen.
So it's an economic development story, too.
Absolutely.
Last week, a dangerous privately owned cobra got loose in Raleigh. A lot of people laughed about it, thought it was a funny story because it got captured, nobody was hurt. But that wasn't the case 3 years ago when an intern was mauled and killed by a lion at a private zoo in Caswell County. Now, here's the thing. North Carolina is only one of 4 states that doesn't even regulate the ownership of these private dangerous animals, exotic animals. Should state lawmakers make it illegal to own dangerous animals once and for all, Ogie?
Yeah, that's such a no-brainer. You've got to regulate exotic animals. I mean, we're one of 4 states. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, I think there has to be some sort of regulations on this. As long as we define what dangerous means, that doesn't include pit bulls and things like that. Let's not get too crazy.
Yeah, poisonous snakes, lions, tigers. I
Yeah.
mean, people think it's cute to go see them, but then things happen. Keith, what do you think?
I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you got to be trained to deal with these animals, and if you're not trained and you've got these private zoos and stuff like that, you're asking for trouble. So I think it have to be regulated.
Right. Beginning next year, U.S. passport applicants can now self-select their gender on the passport forms without medical certification, even if their gender doesn't match other documents. This disturbs me for a couple of reasons. Because, look, I know that my wife, Pam, there was a big brouhaha on a passport one time because somebody accidentally put an E on the end of her middle name. I mean, you've got to have this stuff to match up, but it worries me a bit, even though it's socially progressive. Ogie, your thoughts?
It doesn't worry me in the least, Jim. I probably wouldn't give it a second thought.
Taylor, what do you think?
I honestly think it's going to cause more issues than we would imagine. At the end of the day, the U.S. passport is an internationally used document. So I think it's going to cause issues when you're trying to enter other companies that are not as socially progressive as we might be.
Yeah, Keith, what do you think?
I think that if you legally change your name and you're able to legally change your gender, then you should be able to legally change your passport.
But if you just identify with a gender
Then that's not going to work. Not right now.
for passport.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I agree. As part of a bankruptcy settlement, Boy Scouts of America has just paid out $850 million to 60,000 victims of sexual abuse. Meanwhile, membership in the organization is declining. So I guess my question here is, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but guys and gals, will scouting ever recover from this mess? Ogie.
Well, I hope it does. I was a scout, and all my experiences were good and positive, and it may take a while. It may even take close to a generation, but I think the inherent goodness of Boy Scouts will carry the day.
Girl Scouts are doing pretty well right
Yeah.
now, but the Boy Scouts, are they going to survive this?
I mean, fortunately for the Boy Scouts, I think that they will. I think it will definitely make a comeback. You know, unfortunately for the victims, I don't think that's what they want, but.
Yeah. So you think the victims would just be glad if everything went away?
Yeah.
Keith, what do you think?
Well, I think that it's going to be hard for them to make a comeback. You're going to have to create a screening system that is better and more comprehensive than you are. And I just think it's too many loopholes for it to come back like it was before. It never will return to the height it used to be.
All right, now Congress is considering a bill that would help reimburse minor league baseball teams for the losses they suffered during the pandemic. Now, we all love our local baseball teams, the Dash and the Grasshoppers and the Rockers and all that stuff. But are you okay with taxpayer dollars supporting minor league sports? Ogie Overman.
Absolutely. Look at all the tax revenue it generates and the ancillary benefits. Go to Greensboro and look at the development completely encircling the ballpark. That whole quadrant has exploded. It's wonderful.
Taylor, taxpayer money going for helping minor league baseball teams?
I mean, my question would be, isn't it already through the PPP, through the EIDL, or even through the, I can't remember, but the venue,
Yeah.
the ones that's for loss of venues, entertainment, complexes, that sort of thing? Aren't they already getting taxpayer dollars?
Yeah, they want this as a special act, although the money's been allocated for the total package, but not allocated specifically to this. Keith, what do you think?
Well, I think the economic boon for sports is significant. I think that they should use the taxpayer dollars to help those who are unemployed, do training programs, job creation, and those things that are needed so sorely now with the loss of income from this pandemic.
Right. A quick yes or no on this one. Donald Trump is hinting he may run for president in 2024. Do you think he'll run? And if so, could he win? Ogie?
Yes and no.
Taylor.
The snakes in his head want him to run, yeah.
Taylor.
He may run, and there's a possibility he could win.
Keith.
I think it's going to be very difficult because of all of the criminal charges they got swirling around, but he definitely probably will not run, but he will be a major impact on whoever does run.
Yeah, I agree. Finally, the financial website Smart Asset has released its top 10 list of towns in North Carolina that are best to retire to. Among them, Reidsville, Hickory, Hendersonville is number 1. Guys and gals, are you planning to retire in Hendersonville? And if not, where? Ogie.
I've been to Hendersonville one time to bail a friend of mine out of jail.
Well,
and I didn't see anything really alluring
You won't
about
retire
Henderson.
there.
Of course, I didn't see anything with the jail.
No,
so
you're going to retire to
I'm gonna retire
Hendersonville.
where I am.
Where are you going to retire to Hendersonville, Taylor?
I don't think so. I don't know who made this list, but I think we need to rewrite it.
Keith, are you going to retire to Hendersonville, Keith?
I think the people from Hendersonville and Hickory, I was raised in Hickory, and I can tell you one thing, I will never retire in Hickory. That's one thing I can bet. I will never retire in Hickory.
Well, now,
trust me on that.
The opinions of Keith Granberry do not reflect the opinions of the TV station. We don't know what the TV station's opinion is. Well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. A South Carolina prison guard was arrested last week for smuggling drugs into a women's prison. How he did it was he put a bunch of marijuana and hid it into Rice Krispie treats. Asked what tipped him off, the warden said, "I think I heard the sound of snap, crackle, pot." See,
that was a good one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
We're all going to retire to Hickory with Keith.
No,
We'll see you next
Hendersonville.
week.